Well, hello, guys. Mark Holmes here. And as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. I'm actually working on uploading my morning video about the Dallas Cowboys and the chances of playoffs. Playoffs? You're talking about playoffs? Yeah. And we have some news that actually is breaking that I wanted to get up and out. The Atlanta Falcons, who during training camp had, I think, 7 or 9 players that actually were put on the COVID reserve list, one of the most in the NFL, now have 5 players that have tested positive for COVID, in which case their facilities are shut down now as they try and get a grasp on it. Um, we know that Cam Newton is now back at practice after his positive testing, as well as Stephon Gilmore. This is not something that the NFL knew wasn't going to happen. I mean, the NFL players and everything else are a microcosm of society. So as you have people in society that test positive, you're going to have players as well. And the NFL, of course, is trying to, mitigate the spread of it. So as soon as it happens, boom, we're going to go ahead and try and do everything we can to stop the spread of it. Thus far, we're already on week 6. You have to at least say hats off to the NFL for doing what they have. But, as we find out about the Atlanta Falcons, there's other news too. Um, San Francisco 49ers defender, Fred Dean, Hall of Famer, um, 68 years old. He died last night from COVID. They found out last week that he had contracted it and had been in a hospital on a ventilator and has since passed away. For some people, they're fortunate that, they're asymptomatic, that just begins, don't even get a cold. But other people, it attacks seriously. So it's nothing to kid about. And I'll give you my own personal example of this, and I don't mean to meander, but many of you have had strep throat, right? Strep throat. You take the zinc lozenges and things like that, and you got a real bad sore throat, but you're okay. I had a streptococcus A, which is strep for short, infection that in rare forms, it gets into the bloodstream and it will attack a weak spot in your body and begin to grow. That happened into my right knee, which I never really had problems with. From the course of Wednesday, I had a little red spot on my knee. By Saturday, I had 104 temperature. My knee was the size of a basketball, and it was literally this red and hot to touch. I then had, over the course of the next 2 weeks, 3 knee operations to save my life. And during that time, there were 12 cases in my state, 8 of which the people died. The doctor said if it had been 24 hours longer that I'd waited, my leg would have been amputated. They said if it had been 48 hours, I wouldn't be here telling you the story. So this is where we have to realize that, yeah, not everybody will die from COVID. Not everybody will have long-term issues with it, but a lot will. So that's where the NFL is trying to clamp down on this to keep it from spreading. And this at the same time as we know that the Eagles will now be able to have 7,500 fans. We know that the New Orleans Saints are trying to play at LSU because they're not allowed to have fans at in New Orleans, that they're wanting to have fans and things. We really just need to be thankful that at the moment we even have a season because as we see now, the Tennessee Titans, they were shut down. Now, fortunate for them, practice doesn't mean a lot. For them, they were shut down. They had players, and it was spreading like crazy that fortunately got through it. We've seen New England, okay? We've seen throughout the NFL little clusters here and there. Unfortunately, those little clusters, all of a sudden, as we get later in the season, can become boom, boom, boom. And this puts the season in jeopardy. So hopefully they get a clamp on it and they come up with some other ways of trying to mitigate this as much as possible. So that's where we are. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.